What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Blitz Sports Media. My name is Ryan Linkler. I'm joined by Steven here and Dean. We are on Blitz Fantasy Football, breaking down all the news from the first round of the NFL draft. And we're talking about the biggest fallers from the first round. We got a few names, actually multiple names to talk about here. Their stocks are significantly decreasing. Make sure you guys go check out the risers video we also dropped today, talking about the biggest risers from the first round. Let's talk about the biggest one that shocked everybody. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers somehow have four really good receivers now. Why did they pick Emeka Egbuka? Steven, we'll start with you.
Yeah, it was kind of the biggest shocker, I think, at the time, besides the blockbuster trade to begin with Travis Hunter that me and Dean saw on our draft show. But it is very puzzling. The conclusions that we came to on the show were okay, did the Buccaneers front office they re-signed Chris Godwin. They still have Mike Evans and Jalen McMillan. He had a great rookie season. It's just these are the things that we were confused about. Does Mike Evans, did he tell them, all right, hey, I only have 1 to 2 years left and then I'm hanging it up? Is Chris Godwin, who they just re-signed, he went down with a season-ending injury. Is he not as healthy as that what they would like him to be at this point? Will he miss some time? Or is yet to be known that could have factored into this pick. But we're expecting all these guys to be healthy and to be playing. And you don't take Egbuka in the first round to not start him and play him day one. So is Jalen McMillan going to be a trade piece? He could be a possible move guy. You move him, but they all see decrease in fantasy production. I would say I still feel confident having Mike Evans on my team, probably having Chris Godwin if he's all healthy and cleared. But Jalen McMillan, I mean, he's my biggest loser by far. I mean, he went from being a great sleeper pick to I don't even know if he's draftable anymore. I mean, Baker Mayfield is the big winner here, but Egbuka, you thought you could get production from him, and you still could, but it's not as clear of a path as we had hoped for. And I think McMillan, he's just lost almost all of his upside right there, and where you're yet to see if Chris Godwin's really healthy. So I feel like this is kind of a lose 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 for all the receivers involved.
Yeah, and I think you nailed it on the head. I think this benefits Baker Mayfield the most. I mean, he has a ton of the guys at his disposal to throw to, and another quarterback that benefits from the first round of the NFL draft, just kind of how it should be. Bucky Irving, I think, is a guy that does benefit as well. And I don't think Mike Evans necessarily takes a big hit. The guy that takes a hit is Chris Godwin. I know Jalen McMillan's cooked at this point. He's not draftable, like you said, not looking great. But Chris Godwin at this point, I'm significantly concerned about his injury history in the past and the one now he currently has that he's recovering from. And the thing about Agabuka is he's his primary slot receiver. Chris Godwin, also a primary slot receiver. I am very interested to see when those two are on the field at the same time, who gets bumped outside. And I guarantee you, the guy that gets bumped outside is not going to have the same type of production as he does in the slot. So I think both in terms of the on the field production are not going to work out well together based on their skill sets. And I think in terms of fantasy, Chris Godwin might be on my do not draft list. I might actually think Egabuka might be higher on my list than him just because I think they're concerned about his injury. I really do. I don't think this is a pick because they think Mike Evans is retiring. I think it's more of a pick that they think Egabuka is going to be better long term than what Godwin is going to return from this injury. So it is very interesting to see. But let's get into the probably second biggest news. Omarion Hampton gets passed on by the Denver Broncos, ends up with the Los Angeles Chargers. And the biggest thing that I found interesting is that we were all pretty high on Najee Harris after the move. I mean, from a scheme fit, it was really nice. And we were like, hey, maybe Najee's a sneaky pick. Nope, not anymore. Dean, talk to us about this backfield split we have coming between Najee Harris and Omarion Hampton.
Yeah, when the Chargers first signed Najee Harris, your kind of first reaction was, "Oh wow, no, that's a Harbaugh running back." And then tonight, when Omarion Hampton got drafted by them, you're like, "Oh, that's a Harbaugh running back." Well, there should probably only be one. If it's going to be some split kind of carry thing, then everyone's productivity is going to take a downfall, and you don't know how much time that's going to be in the season where Omarion Hampton will become the RB1 on the team. Will it take 6 weeks? Will it take the whole first year? You don't know about that. So it's going into the 2025 season, you're probably a little scared to draft anyone in that backfield just yet because you don't know how those splits are going to be. So I would be a little bit worrying about that Chargers backfield.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that's interesting about this backfield in Dynasty, I think Hampton's a good long term pick still. Najee's on that 1 year deal. But in redraft, you look at the situation, and we know David Montgomery and Jameer Gibbs work very well, but they also have very different skill sets. Harris and Hampton are basically copy and paste, very similar type running backs, and they don't have receiving value, right? And the Chargers don't throw the ball to their running backs a lot. It's very hard to have two rushing heavy running backs basically have very good years at fantasy. They're going to have to rely on a ton of touchdowns for both of them to be fantasy relevant. So I think both of them are moving down. I think Harris is a little bit higher right now just because he'll probably start the year with more volume, but I think Hampton will probably eat into it as the season goes on. So I have Harris bumping down to probably a low end RB2. Hampton is a high upside mid RB3 at this point. Heading into our next guy, and this is just because of the team he picked and possibly because of the situation where he got picked. Tyler Warren was not the first tight end off the board. Steven, talk to us a little bit about Tyler Warren's fantasy downfall, maybe that we're looking at.
Yeah, so it was a big shock when the Bears went ahead and took Colson Loveland ahead of Tyler Warren. We all consensusly it was kind of a surefire thing that Tyler Warren was going to be the first tight end taken off the board. He was not. He goes to the Colts as the second tight end taken off the board. What does that say about him that the NFL sees? Do they just really view him as not as highly as we do because of maybe the offense that he was in at Penn State? Now, he was their entire offense. He demonstrated a ton. I'm not, this is not knocking the player that he is, but he is now landing with the Colts, second tight end off the board. The quarterback situation is not good. Like if you went to the Bears, you would have Caleb Williams. That's fantastic for Loveland. Going to the Colts, you got Daniel Jones or Anthony Richardson throwing you the ball. That's not good for fantasy. We've seen Anthony Richardson when he throws the ball, he's out there. His stat line looks like tour dates. I mean, we got July July 15th out there for his stat. And with those quarterbacks throwing him the ball, I don't think you can really rely on consistent production from Tyler Warren year one. And going to, for example, going to the Colts, Tyler Warren at Penn State, a lot of his upside was kind of just being a gadget guy, taking snaps, running some QB sneaks, running some designed run plays. Kind of thought he would maybe get like a Taysom Hill package in the NFL. I don't see any of that happening or very little happening with the Colts because I mean, if Anthony Richardson's playing, they're going to have designed run plays for him. And that's not even taken into consideration. They have Jonathan Taylor, who should be what the offense runs through. He is one of the best backs in the NFL. If you have two of those guys in your backfield, I don't think you're handing Tyler Warren 2 to 3 plays a game to run the ball when you have better running backs behind them. So he's going to have to make all of his production through the air. And with those quarterbacks, it's really hard to see consistent production from Warren this year.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting as well. I mean, you got a guy like Cole Kmet now that basically is not worth anything in fantasy football to anybody. I mean, last year we saw the inconsistencies, but there was hope this year that with Ben Johnson as the head coach, that he would almost have that Sam Laporta role and get some touchdowns, and he'd be like a tight end one, something like that. Dean, why don't you talk about how Cole Kmet's heading into the garbage in fantasy football?
Yeah, kind of tough for him, but it kind of happens when you get a new regime in the NFL. It's a coach that didn't use Kmet in before, but it is the front office that signed him. But I mean, you draft Colson Loveland 10th overall to use him, right? To make him a part of your offense. So it just seems like he's got to take a back seat. And Cole Kmet's kind of been on the outs for quite some time. He hasn't been productive since Justin Fields was the starting quarterback for them. So I just kind of think the dream of Cole Kmet is officially done after this first round of the draft.
Yeah, I mean, a guy's dream that didn't come true last night. Shedeur Sanders, man. I mean, Jackson Dart is now the Giants quarterback instead of Shedeur. They even traded up to go get Jackson Dart over him, so it's very interesting there. I want your both your guys' takes here. Steven, what do you think? Shedeur Sanders, his value's got to be dropping.
Yeah, for me, this was the story of the night. I was pretty big on Shedeur Sanders coming into tonight. I really liked his comparison that we had of him to Kirk Cousins with his accuracy. I do think he excels out inside it with a clean pocket. His accuracy is great. And then even if the pocket collapses, he's kind of like he's a pretty damn good improviser in college. He showed, but obviously, I don't think the NFL is as big on him as I was, as we saw him slip out of the first round with multiple chances to get him in the first round. Teams just passed and took, whether it be defensive players or whatever. There are some landing spots in the second round. I feel like if the Pittsburgh trades back up to get him, maybe New Orleans can pick him up in the second. It's really hard to see, but him not getting that first round capital kind of tells me what the NFL sees about Sanders. And I wonder how much of this is skill and talent or how much of it is personality. It's yet to be seen. So it's definitely not good for his draft stock and fantasy. Not getting that first round talent really, or first round capital, really hurts his value, and it's kind of hard to see him having any success in year one. He still can definitely, but with the Steelers passing on him, it kind of assured me that they're probably going to be signing Aaron Rodgers. So I don't really know where else Sanders would fall. So it's a tough look for Sanders.
Dean, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, just the fact that the Giants traded back into the first round and didn't take him, because there's a lot of talk of him even going three to the Giants, hurts his value so much. I think this makes Jackson Dart jump him in dynasty rankings, because we really don't know where he's going to go. You looked at the start of the second round for tomorrow. Uh, the Browns and the Browns have the first pick and the fourth pick to start off Friday. So um, if he doesn't go there, I don't know where he goes. It would be a nice landing spot for him, I guess. But I don't know really the value he shows if he's falling out of the first round. I mean, this is a guy that should have been that was considered first round pick at the start of the college football season, and now he is a second rounder. So just I don't know if I want any part of Shedeur Sanders wherever he goes, really.
Yeah, and I think it's very interesting for sure. The Dart went ahead of him. I think a lot of scouts had that as well. And the biggest concern with Shadur is that he's a pocket passer. He needs a good offensive line around him. He has the Cleveland, and he definitely does not have that. So, in redraft purposes, don't like it. Dynasty purposes, don't like it at all. So, it'll be interesting to see where he falls. If he lands at a team like Pittsburgh, I could get back into investing in him in Dynasty. Probably not ahead of Dart at this point, but we'll see what happens there. Really appreciate you guys tuning in this episode about our fallers. Stay tuned for our episode after day 2 today, going over all the top picks and the picks that impacted guys in fantasy football all day long. So stay tuned to that. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button for more Blitz fantasy football content, and we will catch you guys next time.